Hey everyone, Taylor Sievers here with Sievers Blumen Farm, and today I wanted to kind of answer a question that you might be having is, what does a flower farmer do in preparation for the coming frost, which is what we are going to be having this Sunday. It's supposed to be our first expected frost of the season, and it's a little bit later. Normally ours is around October 15th to October 20th, and we're past that point where today is October 25th when I'm recording this. So usually we've seen a frost by now, to be honest. I usually don't make it into the first couple weeks before we have a frost and my dahlias get hit, and then I just call it, you know. So I just wanted to kind of walk you through what are the tasks that I need to be doing right now and what I should have probably already been doing, because it kind of just hit me this week. We've been really busy this fall with weddings, and it's just me doing the weddings, so it takes a lot out of me, and I just don't really didn't really have time to do a lot of other tasks. So what I need to be doing right now is cleaning up spaces like this. So if you remember from a previous video, we did an experiment growing some Larkspur and bachelor buttons and some spring crops. We thought if we put them in here, it might bump up the bloom time, and it didn't really. And I'll link to that video up above. But it did improve the stem length on some things like Larkspur that I've grown before in the field. So that was really cool, and it was just really cool to see it all blooming in here like that. But what I'm really going to be doing now is just taking out actually all of these raised beds in this house. I don't know if you can see over here. No, on this side, I've got some snapdragons that are blooming, and I planted those last fall. And so they're still kind of going. They fell over a little bit. But so I'm ripping out everything. I'm ripping the beds out, and I'm just going to lay landscape fabric down. And this is going to be where my roses are going that are in pots. So from another video, I talked about trying to start basically an antique rose, heirloom rose nursery. And I have some other roses that I just don't know where I want to put them yet, because we're kind of deciding some things. So I'm going to make this my little nursery house, basically. So I'm going to focus more on seed starting, and this is a smaller 12 by 40 tunnel, so it will be easier to heat if I want to. Over here I do have some benches already, some shelving that I do when I'm hardening off my seedlings in the spring. I use this space a lot, and so I'm hoping to use this more as my propagation house and seeds and just nursery house. So I have a larger tunnel behind over here, and I really just don't need all of this growing space. It just becomes a weedy mess in the summer. So that is my plan right now. So this is a task I need to get done, is getting all of this weeds and the old irrigation lines and the soil. I'm gonna go ahead and this is compost basically. I'm just gonna put it back on the compost pile and let it do its thing. So that's kind of one of the things that we do in the fall as flower farmers. If you have tunnels, most of the time things get a little bit weedy in the field too. So we're just kind of cleaning up the spaces. So another thing that a lot of flower farmers do that I'm not doing this year personally is they already have been sowing their hardy annuals or early spring flowers. A lot of those are planted in the fall or seeded in the fall, and it just ensures earlier blooms. This year is the first year I'm not really doing any of that, to be honest. You have to start those like in the summertime, and we have some little bit of changes coming up, and to be honest, I'm just not focusing on that part of the season. It seems like it kind of comes at a really weird time for me, and I would rather focus on the crops from July into the fall. I think we had a great Mother's Day this year, but like I said, we have a couple changes in our family coming this spring, and so I'm kind of taking the spring off a little bit this year. So I'm just going to kind of relax and just start cleaning up spaces. I found in the last couple years that I've kind of taken on a little bit more than bitten off a little more than I can chew, and I'd like to just be a lot more efficient at a few things instead of just going crazy with a bunch of different things. So another thing that I need to be doing is cleaning up all of my seed trays. So like this, these are some really sturdy trays I got from Bootstrap Farmer. But look, they're just a mess. So while it's still warm out, even with the frost coming, it's still going to be warmer than in the middle of winter. I need to be cleaning these things out. So that is on my to-do list. Scrubbing them up. I purchased these from Bootstrap Farmer because they are heavier duty. I've had some from, I've gotten to use these. I got these from Greenhouse Megastore, and they're much thinner. You can see I've got some cracking, but I've been able to use these the last couple years, and that's been really great. But the problem is that they just don't last very long, and I'm just tired of all this cracking plastic around. So that's why I kind of splurged last year and spent a little bit more money on these tougher trays. I've been doing soil blocking. I'm not super diligent about watering, so soil blocks are just not the best for me with seedlings. I'm just kind of coming to realization like I do better with trays. So I still have my soil blocking stuff, and I'll do that for some things, but trays are where it's at for me. So I need to be cleaning those up. I need to be washing up some pots and stuff like that. Anything that I'm going to need, I need to be washing them right now. And that also goes for this week will be probably our last week for cut flowers, so I need to get all of the buckets washed. I don't have any more weddings this fall, so I need to get all the buckets washed and put away and stored. Other things that I'll be doing is taking cuttings of things like scented geranium. So they do really well in my tunnel in the heat, and they will survive a little bit of frost, but I want to make sure I take my cuttings this week before the frost comes. That way I don't have any danger of losing the plants. So I don't keep like a mother plant and then take cuttings from that. Some people do that. I just plant all of my cuttings in the ground, let them grow, they get really huge, and then I just take cuttings from them in the fall, overwinter them in my garage under some lights, and then by the time spring comes, they're ready to grow. Sometimes I might have to bump them up into a larger pot and then plant them out again, and they get really huge and big. So definitely need to make sure I take those cuttings this week. Something I've been putting off for a while. Some of the last things I'll be doing in the field is just mowing everything down, and then we'll try to take up all the plastic. In the last few years, we haven't been good about getting all the sheets up, mostly because I've been tired and I just leave a couple in. And then what happens in the early spring is I have some volunteer spring seedlings come up, and then I'm like, oh, I don't want to take up the plastic now. And that's been okay, but it's really just makes for a kind of an unorganized mess. You can't control where the volunteer seedlings come up anyways, and so I'm just made it a goal this year that I'm gonna do my best to get all of the plastic up. And then it is a little late to be sowing some cover crops, but I'm gonna go ahead and sow some seeds in the area, just so hopefully maybe in the spring I'll have some sprouts coming up. I'm not going to be using all of my field space next year, so I just want to make sure something's growing there. I'm going to try to do some clover and stuff like that. So next year is going to be a little bit different for me, but most of the time what we're doing is just mowing everything down, pulling up the plastic and all of that. And I've got some perennial spaces I need to weed and make sure that, they're a little bit tidied, and maybe mulch them and cut back any of the perennials. So one more thing that I also have is I ordered a bunch of perennials and I forgot about them, and then they just came the other day. So I have to figure out where I'm planting things like these hydrangeas. I ordered 6 hydrangeas, 3 Incrediballs and 3 Annabelles. And so now I need to find a space to plant them. I don't really know, because this was going to be for my landscaping. In my mind, I was thinking, I don't know why I did that, but yeah. So need to be planting these. And like I mentioned before, just moving everything into this space, getting things prepped for winter. The roses will be fine in their pots over the winter, but because they are in pots and not in the ground, I want to give them a little bit extra protection by being inside another structure. Something else too is I will need to uncover this. There's some shade cloth on this, and I will need to take the shade cloth off for the winter. So that is my plan so far. Lots to do. One more thing I didn't mention is that the dahlias. So I like to wait till the first couple frosts come before I dig my dahlias. Some people are digging them a little bit earlier. I just like to wait. But I have some labeling to do before the frost. So I need to go through and mark every dahlia what color, because I did not label well last year and I had no idea what was what, and I planted them in different spots and I had different colors, and I would like to label them. So while they have the blooms on them and I can see what color they are, I'm going to go ahead and tie something on them with a label. That way when I go to dig them after the frost comes and kills all the foliage, I will know what to call that dahlia. So what are some things that you guys are doing this fall? I would be curious to know. I don't think I left anything out, but if you have any questions about just prepping your space for fall, let me know in the comments. And please subscribe and follow along Sievers Blumen Farm on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our channel, Bluff Bottom Blumen. Nice seeing you guys. Oh, not nice seeing you, but you know what I mean. But thanks for following along so far, and hopefully we'll get a couple more videos up that we were a little bit busy this fall, so I didn't really get as many videos up as I wanted, and so hopefully we'll be sharing those clips so you can watch those over the winter time and get ready for spring. So subscribe. Thanks for watching.